So far, we don't know how to calculate definite integrals in general, but if the graph of f of x is simple enough, then we can calculate these integrals using just basic plane geometry. So for example, here we have the graph of some function y equals f of x, and first we want to find the integral of f between 0 and 2. Between 0 and 2, the graph is completely above the x-axis, and so I just look at the area that sits between 0 and 2 and under my graph. Well, that's just a 2 by 3 rectangle. So in this case, the integral is just going to give you the value of 6. What about the integral from 0 to 3? 3 is the x value where I have this kind of crossing over point. Well, what I can do in this case then, now what I want is this entire bit here. But essentially what I can do is say, well, I have the area that is from 0 to 2, and then the area that is from 2 to 3. I already found this first part, that's what 6 was. And the second part, well, from 2 to 3 I have a triangle, where the base is 1 and the height is 3. So that means I have 1/2 of base times height, so 3/2 for the area of that triangle, and 3/2 plus 6 gets you 7.5. Now for 3 to 9, for that integral, my function is completely below the x-axis. So what do I have here? I have this piece right here. Again, though, that's just a triangle, right? It's a triangle where I have a base, which is 6, and a height, this value here, which is 3. So I take 1/2 of the base times the height, except also I need to put an extra minus sign, because this is all sitting below the x-axis, and so I'm counting it sort of negatively. So that'll get me a value then of just -9. And finally, for the integral from 0 to 9, I just take the integral from 0 to 3, and then add that to the integral from 3 to 9. I should be clear why something like this works. If I think of the integral from a to b as finding the area between my graph and the x-axis, well, I'm kind of, on my way from A to B, I'm welcome to stop anywhere in the middle that I want to, and to find this part here and then this part here and just add them up. So that's all I'm doing. So from 0 to 3, we had 7.5. And from 9 to 3, we had -9. And so altogether, that ends up being just -1.5. So okay, as long as you have a graph then that you can kind of split up into squares and triangles and maybe even parts of circles, well then you can compute these definite integrals exactly without any approximation.